The warning lights flashed red across the command center of the Galactic Council station. Elder Trellican, a being made of living crystal that had witnessed stars being born, stood motionless as the data streamed across holographic displays. His internal lattice structure vibrated with concern as he processed what he was seeing. "The Zorathi fleet has entered jump space," announced Isamari Observer 12, speaking through the collective consciousness of her hive species. "Destination, Sol System, human homeworld." The council chamber erupted in clicking, humming, and electromagnetic pulses as representatives from 40 species reacted to the news. The Zorathi Empire was young by galactic standards, only 3,000 years since they had discovered faster-than-light travel. But they were aggressive, expansionist, and foolish. "We must intervene," said Ambassador Krell of the Venthari Federation, his 6 arms gesturing frantically. "The humans are a developing species. They have barely left their own planet." Elder Trellican's crystalline form pulsed with a deep red light, the equivalent of a sad smile among his kind. "You have not read the reports on humanity, have you, Krell?" "I have seen their transmissions," Krell replied dismissively. "Violence, conflict, primitive entertainment. They broadcast their weaknesses to the entire galaxy. The Zorathi monitored their signals for 2 cycles before deciding to attack." The Ismari observer's mandibles clicked together in what humans would recognize as laughter. The Zorathi intercepted human movies, television shows, and video games. They concluded humans were weak because they simulate conflict for pleasure. "Are they not?" asked Krell. Elder Trellican moved to the center display and expanded a file. The hologram showed Earth, a blue and green marble floating in space. Around it, hundreds of data points appeared. Historical records, biological assessments, technological progression charts. "Observe," Trellican said, his voice resonating through the chamber like wind through caves. "This planet, Earth, should not support advanced life. Its surface is 70% covered in water that humans cannot breathe. The land masses experience temperature extremes that would kill most species. The atmosphere once had almost no oxygen until primitive life created it over billions of years. So they evolved on a harsh world," Krell said. "Many species have." "No," the Ismari observer interjected. "You misunderstand. They evolved as prey animals. Look at their fossil record. For millions of years they were hunted. They should have developed armor, venom, or camouflage. Instead, they developed something else." The hologram shifted, showing human evolution. Small furry creatures fleeing from predators, then walking upright, then using tools, then creating fire. "They developed intelligence," Trellican continued, "and persistence. Humans can run for days without stopping. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. They can eat an incredible variety of substances. They learned to throw projectiles with deadly accuracy. They became endurance hunters, chasing prey until the prey collapsed from exhaustion." "This makes them dangerous?" Krell asked skeptically. The display changed again, showing Earth's recent history. Wars, weapons, technology advancing at frightening speed. "In 100 years, Trellican said slowly, humans went from basic flight to landing on their own moon. In 50 more years, they established colonies on 2 other planets in their system. They invented weapons capable of destroying their entire world, came close to using them, and somehow stopped themselves. They have survived 6 major extinction events on their planet. 6 times their species should have ended. 6 times they adapted and survived." The chamber fell silent. The council members processed this information. "The Zorathi do not know this?" asked a small floating creature from the methane worlds. "The Zorathi know what humanity broadcasts for entertainment," Isamari 12 explained. "They see movies about alien invasions. They see video games about surviving zombie attacks and nuclear war. They see stories about humanity fighting impossible odds. The Zorathi military command concluded these were fantasies, proof that humans dream of violence because they are weak. But they are not fantasies," Trellican said quietly. "They are training simulations. Humans have been preparing for existential threats for their entire history because their world kept trying to kill them. They imagined disasters and practiced surviving them. For fun, Krell's skin turned pale blue, a sign of fear in his species. "We must warn the Zorathi." "We cannot," said the Council Arbiter, an ancient being of pure energy. "The law is clear. We do not interfere in conflicts between non-member species. Both humanity and the Zorathi Empire have been contacted but declined membership. We can only observe." "Then we will watch a massacre," Krell whispered. "Yes," Trellicon agreed. "But I do not think it will be the massacre the Zorathi expect." The view screen shifted to show the Zorathi Armada. 300 warships, each capable of destroying a city from orbit. They moved in perfect formation, proud and confident. At the front, the flagship of Warlord Kraxus displayed the Zorathi banner, a red spiral that symbolized the expansion of their empire. Inside that flagship, Warlord Kraxus stood before his command crew. His scaled skin gleamed under the ship's lights. His warrior clan had conquered 15 systems. This would be his 16th. "The humans will surrender when they see our fleet," he announced to his officers. "Their transmissions show they fear invasion from space. They have created elaborate fantasies about such events. When faced with reality, they will break." His tactical officer pulled up data on human military capability. "Warlord, they have primitive nuclear weapons and basic spacecraft. Nothing that can threaten our shields." Kraxus laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Prepare the subjugation protocol. We will demand tribute, resources, technology, and workers. If they refuse, we destroy one city. Then they will understand." The fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of Earth's solar system. Immediately, alarms sounded. "Warlord," the sensor officer called out. "We are being scanned, multiple sources. They have detected us." "Of course they detected us," Kraxus said dismissively. "We want them to see us. Send the message." The communication went out across all frequencies, translated into the primitive Earth languages. "People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Zorathi Empire. Surrender your weapons and governments. Prepare to receive our occupation forces. Resistance will result in the destruction of your cities. You have one rotation of your planet to comply." Then they waited for the response. On Earth, in bunkers and command centers and space stations, humanity received the message. Military commanders looked at each other. Politicians argued. Scientists calculated odds. But among the 8 billion humans spread across Earth, Luna, and Mars, a strange thing happened. They stopped fighting each other. Every conflict, every disagreement, every old hatred suddenly seemed very small, because something had threatened their home. The response came 6 hours later. It was broadcast from Geneva, translated into Galactic Common by AI systems the Zorathi did not know existed. A human woman appeared on screen. She wore a simple uniform. Behind her, flags of every nation on Earth hung on the wall. She looked directly into the camera with forward-facing eyes, the eyes of a predator. "To the Zorathi Empire," she said calmly, "you have made a grave mistake. You are not welcome in our system. Leave now and we will forget this happened. Stay, and you will learn why Earth has a saying, 'We are not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with us.'" The transmission ended on the Galactic Council Station. Elder Trellicon's crystal form pulsed with dark red light. "So it begins." Warlord Kraxus stared at the screen where the human woman had delivered her message. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. The silence stretched for several seconds before Kraxus began to laugh. "Did she threaten us?" he asked between laughs. "Did that tiny creature actually threaten the Zorathi Armada?" His officers joined in the laughter. 300 warships against a species that barely had space travel. It was absurd. It was insulting. "Move the fleet to their 4th planet," Kraxus ordered. "The one they call Mars. We will establish our base there and demonstrate our power. If they want to resist, we will show them what resistance costs." The Zorathi fleet moved inward through the solar system. They passed the orbit of Jupiter, its massive bulk visible on their sensors. They passed the asteroid belt, noting the primitive mining stations floating among the rocks. The humans had dug into those rocks looking for metal and ice. How quaint. As they approached Mars, the tactical officer frowned at his display. "Warlord, I am detecting movement. Multiple small craft launching from Mars orbit and from the asteroid belt." "How many?" Craxus asked. "Counting now." 50. "No, 100. 200. They keep coming, Warlord." On the main screen, dots appeared. Hundreds of them. They were small, no larger than shuttles. Some appeared to be converted mining ships. Others looked like they had been built in a hurry, welded together from spare parts. "They are sending cargo vessels to fight us?" Craxus said in disbelief. "Do they not understand what warships are?" The human fleet did not arrange itself in any recognizable formation. Instead, the small craft scattered in all directions, moving erratically. Some accelerated toward the Zarathi fleet at speeds that should have crushed any crew inside. Others hung back, drifting like debris. "Target the nearest group," Craxus ordered. "Fire a warning shot. Let them see our weapons." The flagship's main gun charged and fired. A beam of concentrated energy lanced out, striking one of the human craft. It exploded instantly, vaporizing in a flash of light. The other human ships did not retreat. Instead, they accelerated faster. "Warlord," the tactical officer said, his voice rising, "they are not slowing down. They are on collision courses with our forward ships." Craxus leaned forward. "Activate point defense. Destroy them before they reach us." The Zarathi fleet opened fire. Point defense lasers created a web of deadly light. Human ships exploded by the dozens, but there were so many of them, and they moved so unpredictably. They jinked and rolled, used debris as cover, accelerated and decelerated in patterns that made no tactical sense until they did. The first human ship struck a Zarathi cruiser amidships. The explosion was massive, far larger than it should have been. The cruiser's shields flickered and died. "What was that?" Craxus demanded. "Nuclear. Warhead, Warlord," his sensor officer reported. The ship was carrying a bomb. It detonated on impact. "They are using suicide attacks?" Craxus felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of species did that? More human ships rammed into Zarathi vessels. Some carried nuclear bombs. Others carried conventional explosives. One ship, its hull marked with the faded logo of a mining company, crashed into a destroyer's engine section. The destroyer went dark, drifting helplessly. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was what happened next. From the debris field, from behind the burning wrecks of their own ships, more human craft appeared. These were different. They moved with precision now, working in coordinated groups. They fired missiles, dozens at a time, in spiral patterns. The Zarathi point defense systems tried to track them, but the missiles were designed to confuse targeting systems. They released chaff, changed direction, and detonated in clusters. "Shield status?" Craxus barked. "Forward shields at 60%. We have lost 8 ships. 12 more are damaged. 8 ships." In the first engagement, they had lost 8 ships to an enemy flying converted cargo haulers and mining equipment. "All ships combat formation Delta," Craxus ordered. "Focus fire. Destroy every human craft in range." The Zarathi fleet regrouped, tightening their formation. Their combined firepower was devastating. Human ships died by the dozens, then by the hundreds, but they kept coming, and they were learning. On the bridge of the human command ship, a converted colony transport called Hope's Defiance, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display. She was 70 years old, too old for combat by traditional standards, but she had been a naval officer, before retiring to help establish Mars Colony. When the Zarathi arrived, she was the highest-ranking military officer in the system. "They are clustering their ships," her tactical officer reported. He was 23, fresh out of the academy, and terrified. "Good," Chen said calmly. "That means they are scared. Implement Plan Echo." "Admiral, Echo will cost us another 100 ships." Chen looked at the young officer with tired eyes. "Lieutenant, those pilots volunteered. Every single one of them, knew this was a one-way trip. They are not throwing their lives away, they are buying us time. Now implement Echo. The lieutenant swallowed hard and entered the commands. Across the human fleet, 100 ships changed course. They were the oldest vessels, held together with quick welds and prayers. Their crews had already evacuated into escape pods. These ships were now controlled by AI, loaded with every explosive the colonies could spare. They accelerated toward the center of the Zarathi formation. The Zarathi saw them coming and opened fire. Most were destroyed before reaching their targets, but 30 got through. 30 ships traveling at incredible speeds, each carrying nuclear warheads. The explosions lit up space like new stars. When the light faded, 40 Zarathi ships were gone, destroyed, damaged beyond repair, or drifting dead in space. Warlord Kraxus stared at the carnage. 40 ships, in exchange for 30 primitive craft flown by computers. The humans had traded one for one against a superior force. They had turned mining ships into weapons. They had used nuclear warheads like bullets. "Fall back," he heard himself say. "All ships, withdraw to rally point. Beta." His officers looked at him in shock. The Zarathi did not retreat. They had never retreated. "Now!" Kraxus roared. The fleet pulled back, leaving the debris field behind. They moved to a safe distance while Kraxus tried to understand what had just happened. On the Hope's defiance, Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. "How many did we lose?" 347 ships, the lieutenant reported. Estimated crew losses, 2,000 confirmed dead. Another 500 in escape pods awaiting pickup. 2,000 dead. Chen felt the weight of every single one, but she had to focus on what they had accomplished. And the Zarathi? 40. Ships destroyed. 8 more critically damaged. They have retreated beyond Mars orbit. Chen nodded slowly. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we bloodied their nose. Tell them we need reinforcements. And tell them the Zarathi bleed, just like everything else. Across the solar system, on Earth and Luna, and the scattered stations throughout the asteroid belt, humans received the news. They had fought an advanced alien fleet and survived. They had inflicted casualties. They had proven something important. They could fight back. In homes and bars and military bases, people gathered around screens to watch the footage. They saw the converted mining ships charging impossible odds. They saw the nuclear detonations. They saw human pilots ejecting from doomed craft at the last possible second, trusting their rescue beacons would be found. And something ancient and primal awoke in the human species. Their home had been threatened. Their people had died defending it. And now, as they had done for hundreds of thousands of years when faced with existential threats, humanity began to organize for war. Warlord Kraxus sat in his command chair, reviewing the battle data. His strategic AI had calculated the probabilities. With their current forces, they could still take Earth. The human defense had been fierce but ultimately futile. They simply did not have enough ships. But the cost would be high, much higher than anticipated. And something about the way the humans fought disturbed him. They had no formation, no discipline, no apparent strategy. Yet they had hurt his fleet badly. His communication officer interrupted his thoughts. "Warlord, we are receiving a transmission. Audio only. It is in our language." "Play it," Kraxus ordered. A human voice filled the bridge. It was calm, almost casual. It spoke Zarathi with a strange accent. "This is Lieutenant Sarah Kim, 5th Mars Defense Squadron. I was the pilot who rammed your cruiser. You probably thought I died. I ejected. We all did. We are not fanatics. We just know how to make every shot count. You came to our home. You killed our people. This was just round 1. We are still learning. But you should know, there are 8 billion of us. How many Zarathi are there? We looked it up. 4 billion. We outbreed you. We outthink you. And now we have your attention. See you in round 2. Earth sends its regards." The transmission ended. Kraxus sat very still. Then he called his communications officer. "Send a message to the Zarathi High Command. Tell them I request reinforcements. Tell them the humans are not what we expected." How should I describe them, Warlord? Craxus thought about the converted mining ships, the suicide runs, the strange tactics. He thought about the human woman who had threatened his entire fleet with a smile. He thought about a species that turned entertainment into training, and conflict into art. Tell them, he said slowly, that we have found a species that fights like the universe itself is trying to kill them. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with nervous energy as Elder Trellican prepared his presentation. Around him, representatives from species across the galaxy waited, their various forms of attention focused on the central holographic display. Word of the Battle of Mars had spread quickly, and everyone wanted to understand what had happened. Honored members, Trellican began, his crystalline body pulsing with light. We must discuss humanity. The Zorathi reinforcement fleet will arrive at Sol system in 40 rotations. Before that happens, you need to understand what the Zorathi have awakened. The hologram shifted, showing Earth rotating slowly in space. Data streams appeared around it, flowing with information. This is humanity's homeworld. At first observation, it appears unremarkable. But look deeper. The image zoomed in, showing various regions. 70% of the surface is covered in dihydrogen monoxide. Humans cannot breathe this substance. Yet they learn to cross it, to dive beneath it, to harvest food from it. A Venthari representative raised one of his 6 arms. Many species master water navigation. In wooden boats 2,000 years before they discovered electricity, Trellican responded. They crossed entire oceans in vessels made from trees, guided only by stars. Many died. They kept going. The hologram changed, showing Earth's climate zones. Their planet experiences extreme temperature variations, from negative 50 degrees to positive 50 degrees in their measurement system. Storms that can destroy entire cities. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, ice ages that covered half the planet in frozen water for thousands of years. How did they survive? Asked a small, floating creature from the methane worlds. They adapted, Trellican said simply. Let me show you their evolutionary history. The display showed the timeline of human evolution. Small primates in trees, then walking on 2 legs, then using tools, then creating fire. They were prey animals, the Yasmari observer explained, her voice carrying the weight of her hive's collective knowledge. For millions of years they were hunted by larger predators, but they had forward-facing eyes, the mark of a hunter. They had hands that could grip and throw, and they had something special. They could run for days without stopping. The hologram showed ancient humans chasing an antelope across a savanna. The animal ran fast, then stopped to rest. The humans kept coming, walking steadily. The animal ran again. The humans followed. This continued for hours until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Persistence hunting, Trellican said. They invented a way to kill prey by simply refusing to stop. They are not the fastest species, not the strongest, not the largest, but they do not give up. The display shifted to show human history. Wars, inventions, discoveries. The pace accelerated, showing centuries of progress in seconds. They developed agriculture 10,000 years ago, Trellican continued. Writing 5,000 years ago. Industrial revolution 200 years ago. Atomic energy 80 years ago. Spaceflight 70 years ago. In less than 100 Earth years, they went from first powered flight to walking on their moon. Shocked murmur ran through the chamber. Most species took thousands of years to reach such milestones. That is not the disturbing part, the Yasmari observer said. Show them the cultural analysis. The hologram changed again, this time showing human entertainment. Movies flickered past. Aliens invading Earth, asteroids destroying cities, robots taking over, zombies spreading plague, nuclear war, climate catastrophe. Video games appeared next. Humans surviving on hostile planets, fighting alien invasions, defending Earth from impossible odds. What are we looking at? Asked Ambassador. Krell. Human entertainment, Trellican replied. What they create for fun. The Zorathi saw these transmissions and concluded humans were violent and fearful. They were wrong. These are not fantasies. They are simulations. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans have been practicing for apocalypse for their entire modern history, the Isamari observer explained. Every disaster scenario, every possible extinction event, they imagine it, create stories about it, and develop solutions. They do this for entertainment, for fun. They wargame the end of their species as recreation, Trellicon added, because their planet taught them that extinction is always one disaster away. They survived 6 major extinction events in their planet's history: asteroid impacts, volcanic winters, ice ages. Each time they adapted. The hologram showed something new: human military doctrine, tactical manuals, strategic planning, weapons development. After they invented nuclear weapons, Trellicon said slowly, they came very close to destroying themselves. Multiple times, they built enough weapons to sterilize their entire planet. They pointed these weapons at each other for decades, and somehow, they chose not to use them. They stopped themselves? A council member asked in disbelief. Yes. They created treaties, agreements, and systems to prevent their own extinction. They looked into the abyss and decided to step back. A species capable of that level of self-control is unique in galactic history. The display changed to show the current situation: the Zorathi fleet regrouping, human forces gathering, the asteroid belt glowing with activity as every mining station converted to military production. The Zorathi reinforcement fleet numbers 500 ships, Trellicon said. They believe this will be enough. But observe what humanity has done in just 40 rotations. The hologram zoomed in on the asteroid belt. What had been simple mining operations now resembled military installations. Asteroids had been hollowed out and filled with weapons. Mining lasers had been converted to cutting beams. Cargo haulers now bristled with missile pods. They are building an entire military infrastructure in weeks, the Yasmari observer said, using tools designed for mining. This is human innovation. Turn everything into a weapon when necessary. A new transmission began playing. It was from a Zorathi scout ship that had attempted to infiltrate the asteroid belt. The audio was panicked. Command, we are under attack. They have weapons in the asteroids themselves. They are using mining charges as missiles. They are throwing rocks at us with mass drivers. Rocks! They are throwing rocks and our shields cannot. Static. The transmission ended. The scout ship was destroyed by kinetic bombardment, Trellicon explained. Humans accelerated rocks to a fraction of light speed using their mining equipment. Simple physics, devastating results. Ambassador Krell's skin had turned pale blue. What are we dealing with? A species, the Asmari observer said, that looks at every object and asks, how can I use this to survive? They are tool users at a fundamental level. Everything is a potential weapon, tool, or resource. The hologram shifted one more time, showing a recorded interrogation. A human pilot had been captured by the Zorathi after his ship was damaged in the Mars battle. The pilot sat in a Zorathi detention cell, injured but alive. A Zorathi officer questioned him. Why do you resist? The officer asked. You cannot win. Our technology is superior. Our fleet is larger. The human pilot, a young man with dark skin and tired eyes, smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. You don't understand, the pilot said. You attacked our home. There are 8 billion of us. 8 billion. Every person on Earth, on Mars, on Luna, in every station and settlement throughout our system just realized we are not alone in the universe. And the first thing aliens did was try to kill us. You should surrender, the officer insisted. Save your lives. The pilot laughed, a harsh sound. We are humans. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We survived world wars. We invented weapons that can crack planets and decided not to use them. Do you know what that makes us? What? The officer asked. The species that looked at extinction 1,000 times and said, not today. You want to know why we fight? Because fighting is what we do. It is what we have always done. against nature, against each other, against impossible odds. And we are really, really good at it. The pilot leaned forward despite his injuries. You want to know the worst part? This is us being nice. We are still following rules of war. We are still trying to minimize casualties. We evacuate our pilots before ramming your ships. We could have done this differently. We have biological weapons, we have chemical weapons, we have nuclear weapons scattered across our system. We have not used any of them because we decided as a species that some things are too terrible. But if you push us far enough, if you threaten our home badly enough, we will use everything. And we will feel bad about it afterward. But we will still do it. The officer stared at the human. You are bluffing. Am I? The pilot asked. Ask yourself this. What kind of species creates movies about their own extinction for entertainment? What kind of species practices surviving apocalypse? What kind of species looks at death and says, how can we make this interesting? That is what you are fighting. That is what you woke up. The transmission ended. The council chamber was absolutely silent. Every representative processed what they had heard. They looked at the data, the history, the analysis. They saw a species unlike any other in the galaxy. Elder Trellicon spoke into the silence. The Zorathi reinforcement fleet will arrive in 40 rotations. I predict the outcome will not be what the Zorathi expect. Humanity has been preparing for this fight for their entire existence. They just did not know what form it would take. Should we intervene? Asked a council member. No, the Ismari observer said firmly. Our laws forbid it. And honestly, I'm not certain which side would need our help. The Zorathi started this war. Let them finish it. Or let humanity finish it for them. What will we do with the data? Ambassador Krell asked. This analysis of humanity? We leak it, Trellicon said. Through unofficial channels. Let the galaxy know what approaches Earth. Some species may choose to observe. Others may offer aid to the Zorathi. But everyone should know. There is a new species reaching for the stars. And they are survivors. The meeting adjourned. Representatives returned to their ships and stations, carrying with them a new understanding. Humanity was no longer an isolated species on a distant world. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that had spent millions of years learning how to survive against impossible odds, and they had just been given a new challenge. Across the galaxy, the leaked data spread. Scientists studied it. Military strategists analyzed it. Philosophers debated it. And everyone reached the same conclusion. The Zorathi had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked a species that treated survival as an art form, violence as a tool, and extinction as a problem to be solved. The countdown to the arrival of the Zorathi reinforcements continued. 40 rotations became 30, then 20, and in the Sol system, humanity prepared. The Zorathi reinforcement fleet arrived in the Sol system like an approaching storm. 500 warships emerged from jump space at the edge of the system, their formation perfect, their weapons ready. Warlord Kraxus watched from his flagship as the massive fleet organized itself. This time, there would be no mistakes. Send a message to the human homeworld, Kraxus ordered. Tell them they have one final chance to surrender. If they refuse, we will destroy one city every rotation, until they comply. His communications officer worked for several minutes, then looked up with confusion. Warlord, there is no response. What do you mean, no response? The humans are not answering our transmission. All their communication channels are active, but they are ignoring us. Kraxus felt a ripple of unease. Scan the system. Where are their ships? The tactical display lit up with data. But something was wrong. The asteroid belt showed minimal activity. Mars' orbit had few ships. Even Earth's orbital defenses seemed lighter than before. Where are they? Kraxus muttered. His sensor officer studied the readings. Warlord, I am detecting unusual power signatures throughout the system. It appears the humans have abandoned centralized positions. Their ships are scattered everywhere. Scattered? That makes no tactical sense. They should be gathering to defend their homeworld. Sir, I am picking up something else. The humans have been very busy. There are new structures in the asteroid belt. Fortifications. And the asteroids themselves have been moved. They are not in natural orbits anymore. Craxus stared at the display. The humans had been moving asteroids? Why? He did not have to wait long for the answer. The first asteroid struck a Zorathi destroyer on the fleet's outer edge. The rock, accelerated to impossible speeds by hidden mass drivers, hit the ship's shields with the force of a nuclear weapon. The shields held for a microsecond, then failed. The asteroid punched through the hull like paper and the destroyer exploded. "Evasive action!" Craxus roared. "All ships scatter!" But the asteroids were already in motion. Dozens of them, carefully, positioned over weeks, now converged on the Zorathi fleet. Some missed. Many were destroyed by defensive fire. But enough hit their targets. 3 more ships died in the opening seconds of the battle. They weaponized the entire asteroid belt. The tactical officer said in disbelief. From hidden positions among the rocks, human ships attacked. These were not the converted miners from the first battle. These were purpose-built warships constructed in secret shipyards hidden throughout the system. They struck fast and hard, launching missiles and firing lasers, then disappearing back into the asteroid field before the Zorathi could return fire. "This is ambush tactics," Craxus said. "They are not fighting like civilized species. They are fighting like pirates. Warlord, they are not trying to destroy the fleet," his strategic officer observed. "They are separating us, cutting off individual ships from the formation." He was right. The human attacks were surgical, targeting specific ships, forcing the Zorathi fleet to spread out to avoid the asteroid bombardment. And once a ship was isolated, human forces swarmed it. Craxus watched as a Zorathi cruiser found itself surrounded by a dozen small human craft. The cruiser's weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat, not for dealing with small, fast targets. The humans darted around it like insects, targeting engines, weapons, and sensors with precision strikes. Within minutes, the cruiser was dead, in space, helpless, but the humans did not destroy it. Instead, they attached docking tubes and boarded it. "What are they doing?" Craxus demanded. His answer came 30 minutes later when the cruiser's computers were accessed remotely. Files were copied. Tactical data was stolen. Weapon specifications, shield frequencies, engine designs, everything was taken. Then, the humans planted explosives throughout the ship and left. The cruiser detonated just as Zorathi rescue ships arrived. "They are learning from us," the tactical officer said quietly. "Every ship they capture, every system they access, they steal our technology." Over the next several rotations, the pattern repeated. The Zorathi fleet tried to advance toward Earth, but human forces harassed them constantly. Asteroids appeared from nowhere, guided by stealth ships the Zorathi sensors could barely detect. Human strike teams boarded isolated vessels, stole data, and sabotaged systems. The Zorathi found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to engage in traditional combat. Worse, the humans were adapting. Every tactic the Zorathi used, the humans countered within hours. Energy shields tuned to a specific frequency. The humans changed their weapons, point defense systems. The humans sent in decoy drones first, formation tactics. The humans attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. It was on the 15th rotation after the reinforcements arrived that something changed. A Zorathi patrol ship was boarded by a human strike team. The team disabled the weapons, locked the crew in their quarters, and left a message playing on every screen throughout the ship. It was a human soldier speaking Zorathi. He looked directly at the camera, his face painted with dark colors that made him harder to see in low light. "We know where you come from," the soldier said calmly. "We accessed your navigation computers. We have mapped your supply routes. We know where your empire's borders are. We know which systems support your fleet and how long it takes for supplies to reach you. You are a long way from home. We are not." The soldier paused, letting that sink in. "Go home," he continued. "Leave our system. Because if you stay, we will not just defend Earth. We will come for you. We have your technology now. We have your star charts. We know how your ships work. In 6 months, maybe a year, we will have faster than light travel. And when we do, we will remember that you attacked our home." We will remember every person who died in this war, and we will visit you, not to conquer, not to enslave, but to make sure you never threaten Earth again. The message ended with coordinates, displayed on the screen, the location of the Zorathi homeworld. The patrol ship returned to the fleet, its crew shaken and terrified. Warlord Craxus watched the message and felt something he had not experienced in decades of military service. Genuine fear. The humans were not just fighting a defensive war, they were preparing for an offensive one. Pull back to Rally Point Gamma, Craxus ordered. We need to regroup and reassess. The fleet withdrew, moving away from Earth toward the outer system, but even in retreat they were hunted. Human ships followed at a distance, never engaging directly, just watching, observing, learning. It was during this withdrawal that the worst incident occurred. A Zorathi supply convoy arrived from the nearest Zorathi outpost, carrying food, fuel, and ammunition. Human forces intercepted it. But instead of destroying the convoy, they captured it. Every ship, every supply container, every data file was taken intact. The humans now knew what the Zorathi ate, how their ships were fueled, and what resources they needed to sustain their fleet. They had complete intelligence on Zorathi logistics. Days later, Zorathi ships began experiencing technical failures. Engines would malfunction, life support systems would glitch, weapons would fail to fire. It took the Zorathi engineers days to discover the cause: human cyber attacks. The humans had infiltrated Zorathi computer networks and were sabotaging systems remotely. How did they learn our system so quickly? Craxus asked his chief engineer. They are adaptive learners, Warlord, the engineer replied nervously. Every ship we lose, every system they access, they analyze and understand. Their AI systems are incredibly sophisticated. They broke our encryption in weeks. That should have taken years. Craxus sat in his command chair, reviewing reports. 40 ships lost, 60 more damaged, supplies running low, enemy forces growing, stronger every day. And the humans had not even committed their full fleet to battle. Earth's main defense force was still intact, waiting in orbit around their homeworld. They are not trying to destroy us, Craxus said aloud. They are trying to make us leave. His strategic officer nodded. Every action they take is designed to increase our costs. They make supply lines dangerous. They steal our technology. They sabotage our ships. They want this war to be too expensive. To continue. It is working, Craxus admitted quietly. That night, on a captured Zorathi communication relay, humans broadcast a message across Zorathi military frequencies. It was audio only, a human voice speaking in perfect Zorathi. You are tired. You are far from home. You are losing ships every day to an enemy you cannot pin down. Your supplies are running low. Your crew is afraid. This is not a war you can win. This is not even a war we are fighting. This is pest control. We are making you understand that Earth is not worth the cost. The voice paused. We have learned everything about you, how you fight, how you think, how your ships work. We have your star charts, your logistics data, your tactical doctrines. We know where your colonies are, where your supply bases are, where your homeworld is. In a year, maybe less, we will have ships that can reach any of those places. Do you want us to visit? Do you want to teach us how to be conquerors? Because we are very good students. Another pause. Or you can leave. Go home. Tell your empire that humans are not prey. Tell them that Earth is protected. Tell them that if they want peace, they need to respect our borders. That is the choice. Make it soon, because every day you stay, we get stronger. And every day you stay, we get angrier. The message repeated for hours before humans shut down the relay. In his quarters, Warlord Craxus made a decision he never thought he would make. He opened a secure channel to the Zorathi High Command. This is Warlord Craxus, he said into the recorder. I am requesting permission to negotiate terms with the humans. The war is not proceeding as planned. We have lost nearly 60 ships. The enemy has stolen our technology and knows our systems. They have demonstrated the ability to strike any target in this system with impunity. I believe continued conflict will result in the loss of the entire fleet." He paused, knowing his next words would end his career. "I recommend we accept human terms and withdraw from Sol's system. This is not an enemy we can defeat through conventional warfare. They do not fight like any species we have encountered. They fight like they have nothing to lose and everything to protect. Request immediate instructions." He sent the message and waited for a response that would take days to arrive. In the meantime, his fleet huddled in the outer system, harassed by human forces slowly bleeding ships and morale. The hunt continued, and the humans were very patient hunters. The response from Zorathi High Command arrived 10 rotations later. It was brief and bitter. "Permission granted to negotiate. Do not surrender. Seek ceasefire and strategic withdrawal. The Empire does not admit defeat." Warlord Kraxus read the Ikaudir message and understood what was not being said. His career was over. His family's honor was tarnished. But at least he could save what remained of his fleet. "Send a message to the humans," he ordered. "Request formal negotiations." The human response came within the hour, a set of coordinates in neutral space, halfway between Earth and the Zorathi, fleet position, a time, and a single line. "Come alone. We will do the same." Kraxus took a small diplomatic shuttle to the meeting point. As he approached, he saw a human ship waiting. It was small, unarmed, clearly a civilian design hastily converted for the meeting. He docked carefully and entered through the airlock. The human waiting for him was a woman. She wore a simple uniform with the emblem of Earth on the shoulder. Her hair was gray and she looked tired, but her eyes were alert and intelligent. She gestured to a table with 2 chairs. "Warlord Kraxus," she said in Zorathi. "I am Maria Santos, Secretary General of Extraterrestrial Affairs. Please sit." Kraxus sat, studying this human who spoke his language perfectly. "When did you learn our language?" 3 months ago, Santos replied. "We had no choice but to learn quickly. You came to our home uninvited." "I have been authorized to discuss terms," Kraxus said stiffly. "The Zorathi Empire seeks a ceasefire." "A ceasefire," Santos repeated. "Not a peace treaty, not an apology, a ceasefire." "My government does not admit defeat." Santos leaned back in her chair. "Warlord, let me be clear. You have lost this war. Your fleet has been reduced by nearly half. Your supply lines are compromised. Your technology has been stolen. Your homeworld's location is known to us. You cannot win. We both know this." "If we cannot win, neither can you," Kraxus argued. "My fleet still numbers over 200 ships. If we commit fully to attacking Earth, we will inflict massive casualties." "Yes," Santos agreed calmly. "You would kill millions of humans. Maybe billions. You might even destroy Earth as a habitable planet, and then what? We have colonies on Mars, on Luna, in the asteroid belt. We have hidden shipyards throughout the system. Even if you destroyed Earth, humanity would survive. And then we would dedicate our entire existence to hunting down every Zorathi in the galaxy. Is that what your empire wants?" Kraxus felt a chill. She was not bluffing. He could see it in her eyes. These humans would pursue vengeance across the stars if necessary. "What are your terms?" he asked quietly. Santos pulled out a data tablet. "The terms are simple. First, immediate withdrawal of all Zorathi forces from Sol system. Second, reparations for the humans killed in your attacks. Third, technology exchange. Your FTL drive specifications in exchange for our promise not to develop weapons specifically, designed to counter Zorathi defenses. Fourth, a non-aggression pact lasting 100 Earth years." "Those are harsh terms," Kraxus said. "They are generous terms," Santos corrected. "We could demand the location of every Zorathi colony. We could demand your surrender. We could demand the right to station observers on your homeworld. We are not doing any of that. We are asking you to leave, pay for the damage you caused, and promise not to attack us again." "And if my government refuses?" Santos smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Then we continue the war. We finish taking apart your fleet. We Reverse engineer your FTL drives, which our scientists estimate will take another 6 months. And then we build ships capable of reaching your empire. We will not come as conquerors, warlord. We will come as exterminators, because you taught us that the galaxy is not a safe place. You taught us that we need to defend ourselves preemptively. She leaned forward. Do you know what humans are capable of when we decide something is an existential threat? We created nuclear weapons. We built missiles that can cross continents. We developed biological weapons that could kill billions. We stopped using them because we decided they were too terrible. But we still know how to make them. If you force us to view the Zorathi Empire as an existential threat, we will respond accordingly. Is that what you want? Craxus realized he was sweating. This human with her gray hair and tired eyes was describing genocide with clinical precision. And he believed she would do it. I will recommend my government accept your terms, he said. Good, Santos said. But there is one more thing. A fifth term that is not negotiable. What is it? Earth and her colonies reserve the right to pursue any Zorathi vessel that enters our designated security zone without permission. We define our security zone as any location from which Earth could be attacked. Craxus stared at her. That could mean anywhere. Any system within FTL range of Sol. Yes, Santos agreed. That is exactly what it means. You came to our home. You threatened our species. Now you will understand that Earth is protected, not just by our ships, but by our willingness to respond to any threat, anywhere it originates. You are claiming the right to project military power throughout the galaxy. We are claiming the right to protect our home, Santos corrected. If that requires projecting power, then yes. We learned a hard lesson from you, warlord. We learned that being peaceful does not make you safe. Being strong makes you safe. We will be strong. Craxus signed the treaty. What choice did he have? The Zorathi fleet withdrew from Sol system over the next 10 rotations. Human forces watched them go, weapons ready but did not fire. The war was over, but the consequences were just beginning. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The war between humanity and the Zorathi Empire had ended with Zorathi withdrawal and a peace treaty heavily favoring Earth. This was unprecedented. A young species had defeated an established empire. We must extend an invitation to Earth, Elder Trelicon said. They have proven themselves capable of interstellar conflict. If they reverse engineer Zorathi FTL technology, they will be reaching out to other systems soon. It is better they do so as council members. The vote was unanimous. An invitation was prepared and sent to Earth. Maria Santos stood before the Galactic Council 6 months later. She was the first human to enter the ancient chamber, and she looked around at the assembled representatives with curiosity and wonder. So many different species, so many forms of life. Secretary General Santos, Elder Trelicon said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, we welcome humanity. We invite Earth to join us as a member species. You will have full voting rights, access to galactic technology databases, and protection under Council law. Santos bowed slightly. On behalf of humanity, we accept. We look forward to learning from the wisdom of elder species and contributing to galactic peace. The Council members relaxed slightly. Perhaps humans would be easier to work with than feared. Then Santos continued. However, we must be clear about our position. Earth was attacked without provocation. We defended ourselves. In doing so, we learned that the galaxy can be dangerous. We will maintain our military readiness. We will continue developing defensive technologies, and we will respond to any threat to Earth or her colonies with immediate force. The chamber was silent. We do not seek conflict, Santos said. But we will not be victims. Humanity has survived on a harsh world for millions of years by being adaptable, persistent, and willing to do whatever necessary to survive. We bring those same qualities to the galactic community. We hope to be good neighbors, but understand, we will be strong neighbors. After the formal session ended, Elder Trelicon approached Santos privately. His crystalline form pulsed with curiosity. "Secretary General, may I ask you a question?" "Of course." "During the war, your forces could have destroyed the Zorathi fleet entirely. You had captured enough of their technology to target their life support systems, disable their ships permanently, or use biological weapons against them. But you did not. You fought only hard enough to make them leave. Why?" Santos was quiet for a moment. "Because we are not monsters, Elder Trellican. We are humans. We fight when we must, but we prefer peace. We kill when necessary, but we do not enjoy it. The Zorathi attacked us, but that does not mean they deserved extinction. We wanted them to leave. They left. That was enough. But you threatened genocide if they returned." "Yes," Santos admitted, "because we need them to believe we would do it. We need the galaxy to understand. Earth is protected, not because we are cruel, but because we are capable. There is a difference." Trellican considered this. "You are a paradox. Peaceful but violent, gentle but dangerous." "We are survivors," Santos said simply. "That is what Earth teaches. Survive, adapt, protect your own. We are bringing those lessons to the stars." News of humanity's council membership spread across the galaxy. With it, spread stories of the war, of converted mining ships ramming warships, of asteroids used as weapons, of soldiers who boarded enemy ships and left messages instead of bombs, of a species that fought like the universe was trying to kill them because for millions of years it had been. Trade missions arrived at Earth. Scientists sought technology exchanges. Diplomats established embassies. Humanity, once isolated and unknown, became part of the galactic community. But there was a change in how other species viewed them. When human ships visited alien stations, they were treated with respect and caution. When human diplomats spoke, they were listened to carefully. When human scientists proposed ideas, those ideas were taken seriously. On the Ysamari homeworld, in a classroom where young members of the hive mind learned about galactic history, a teacher told the story of humanity's first contact. "Remember, young ones," the teacher said, "humans are kind. They seek peace. They value cooperation. But never forget what they are capable of. They are the species that looked at wolves, the apex predators of their world, and said, 'You will be my friend.' They turned death into devotion, violence into protection, survival into art. They fight only when necessary, but when they fight to win." The young Ysamari absorbed this information into their collective consciousness. They would remember. The entire galaxy would remember. In a bar on Mars Colony, human and alien workers shared drinks and stories. A Venthari engineer asked a human pilot about the war. "What was it like?" the alien asked. "Fighting against such odds?" The pilot, a woman named Chen, descendant of the admiral who commanded at Mars, smiled. "Terrifying, exciting, necessary. We did what humans always do. We adapted, we survived, we protected our home." "Would you do it again?" "If we had to? Yes. But we hope we never have to. We fought to have peace, now we want to enjoy it." The Venthari nodded, understanding something important. Humans were not warriors by choice. They were warriors by necessity. Given the option, they would choose peace every time. But if forced to fight, they would fight with everything they had. That was the lesson the galaxy learned. That was the warning every species received: never attack Earth. Because humans do not just fight back. They adapt, they learn, they survive. And then they become your neighbor with a very long memory. The galaxy had changed. There was a new species among the stars. A species that brought with them all the lessons learned from a harsh world: persistence, adaptability, and an absolute refusal to give up. Humanity had reached for the stars, and the stars had learned to be careful around them. In the Sol system, on Earth and Mars and Luna, and in stations throughout the asteroid belt, humans went about their lives. They worked, loved, built, and dreamed. They looked up at the stars and saw not just distant lights but possible futures. Some of those futures were peaceful, some were challenging, but all of them were survivable. Because that was what humans did. They survived, they always had, they always would, and now the galaxy knew it.